Well, today we're going to get there's two attractions right here together that we've been wanting to do. The Railroad Museum and the
Savannah History Museum.
Yeah, and
which is in one of the old railroad buildings.
And it's right where parking is here at the Visitor Center, which on Sunday it's free.
Woohoo!
And that's today, so free parking. The parking here has been really good and very inexpensive. This is not an expensive place to park. Most places are $1 an hour. You know, we're used to the big cities where they're really expensive. So to us, I mean, parking is just hardly cost anything. And of course, today it's free. And let's see, another thing, these are both on our pass, which is the...
Yeah, so we bought a tour pass, which they do passes in Savannah and in Charleston. And we have the Savannah pass. It's been fantastic. It gets you in, it's gotten us into a lot of the museums and historic homes and things to do, and we're gonna go down and get a free like gourmet popsicle later.
Yeah, and the thing is we got to do some things we probably wouldn't have done, and so I mean it's been awesome, well worth the money. So yeah, and what did you say it's called again?
It's called the Tour Pass.
Tourpass.com is the website.
We'll put a link. Yeah, we'll put a link in the description.
Yeah, we have no affiliation with them. We just, I mean, it's been awesome. We found it. And we're glad we found it.
Absolutely. So let's go start the day.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Stacy.
I'm Tom, and we're RV Texas, y'all.
We are native Texans and full-time RVers who are all about exploring the great state of Texas and beyond, one campground at a time. We're on a mission to experience life, not just live it, and we're bringing you along for the fun.
In 2018, we sold our house, our business, and got rid of most everything we owned to hit the road and see America. Our home is a 33-foot RV named Freedom. We installed an extreme solar and lithium setup, so now we can just about live anywhere with our dog Star and our cat Astro.
Every day is a new adventure, so join us as we RV America, y'all.
Contrary to what we learned in history, when we, a grade school history, I believe, Eli Whitney did not invent the cotton gin. That's what they're saying here. They're saying he invented a different way of ginning the cotton, I guess. And his patent was one, I think, that was used most prevalently, obviously, after he invented it. So, yeah, that's what this is about. And, oh, by the way, I've got my cotton gin shirt on. That's a festival we went to last year. Yeah, it was a fun one.
So before we get too far into this video, we should clarify, this is the Savannah History Museum. It's a project of the Coastal Heritage Society, and it's located at Tricentennial Park, next to Battlefield Memorial Park, which we visited in last week's video. This museum walks you through Savannah's rich history from 1733 through the American Revolution, the Civil War, and the 20th century. It's housed within the historic Central of Georgia's railroad train shed, and the Coastal Heritage Society also operates Old Fort Jackson, which you saw in last week's video, the Georgia State Railroad Museum, which we'll see later in this video, and several other points of interest around Savannah. This museum also highlights Savannah's residents that played an important role in Savannah's and U.S. history. One of those important Savannah residents was Dr. William Belford Jr. Dentistry was a real problem even into the mid-20th century, and in fact in 1955, 1/4 of Georgia counties did not have a dentist. Dr. Belford was the Savannah dentist for almost 60 years, beginning in 1919. This museum is now home to his equipment, the same equipment he used from 1919 until his death in 1980. Last week we also talked about Savannah being the home of Girl Scout founder Juliet Gordon Low. Well, the Savannah History Museum has an entire room dedicated to her life and the history of the Girl Scouts, including why there are Daisy Scouts. And in last week's video, the trolley tour guide shared the story of Forrest Gump's bench. Well, here it is, the original bench from that movie. Now let's go to the Railroad Museum.
They do tours here and strongly recommend the tour. I mean, because they give you a lot of information. And if you get here and a tour's not starting for 30 or 45 minutes, right after you come out, there's a couple of movies to watch.
Right here in this car.
Yeah, it's right in there. And, you know, they're kind of informative, and they're, you know, can bide some time while you wait for the tour. But I strongly recommend taking the tour, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. You get access to things you wouldn't normally get access to. They took us into a car which was normally locked.
Yeah.
And we got to use the hand car.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to do that if we weren't on the tour, so.
And
yeah.
the tour, there's not an additional fee for the tour. It's part of your admission. So, yeah, I'd strongly recommend it.
Smokestack here. It's 125 feet tall, still one of the most visible structures on this side of Savannah, and is connected to the blacksmith shop and to the boiler room by underground tunnels. And so if you want to imagine it like a giant Coca-Cola bottle, the wind blows across the top of that, and so that creates low pressure, and it creates an updraft inside the stack, and that's going to pull the smoke out of these two buildings. It's got a 40,000 gallon cast iron reservoir to supply the site with water, and then you've got all these green doors here at the base, which are things like privies and showers and changing rooms.
What's really unique about this museum, and we didn't realize it until we were here, the Georgia Railroad Museum, the depot for the museum is actually across the street, and it's now the visitor center and the Savannah History Museum. This, where the Railroad Museum is, was actually a working train yard. It was where they built cars and engines. It's where they repaired equipment and cars and engines. This is what kept the railroads running, were places like this, and we've never been to a place like this. We've been to railroad depots before that have been restored into museums, but this is a first for us to actually be a place where they have blacksmith shops and tools for creating and repairing the trains. Super cool, so interesting.
And as you can see behind us here, they're still using the facility to restore and bring some of these things back to life.
Absolutely. And on Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes they offer rides on some of these historic trains that they have restored.
This was Sunday, so we weren't able to do it. They did it yesterday. We were over by here, but we saw some other parts.
Yep.
But it's really cool. And one of these in here that they're basically restoring, they do on those rides.
Yep.
It's a steam engine. They normally do the rides with a steam engine, but once every 15 years, they need to replace all the pipes and everything inside of it. So right now they're doing that. But once they get them all replaced, it'll be back. They're using a diesel engine right now for the rides. But how cool!
Oh, so you have to visit this.
Yeah,
place.
this is a way above average. I mean, it's not your typical railroad museum. Really cool.
And we love railroad museums.
Yeah.
But this is a whole different level.
You see the cars too. I mean,
yeah.
They have restored cars here, but it's much more than that. Yeah, it's really cool.
So another unique thing about this railroad museum in particular is most of what you see here, the cars, the locomotives, were actually owned and used by the Central of Georgia Railroad, which is the railroad company that operated this facility.
So all these cars belong, and they came back to their place. But there's one omission here, and they hope to maybe one day acquire it, who knows, but the Savannah is missing.
Right, they have 3 what they call executive cars.
One of which we went through.
We went through the Atlanta. They also have the Columbus. There were 3 at one time. They have the 2. The one missing is the Savannah. So hopefully one day it will return to its home. But they hear it's at another railroad museum, so that's a good thing too. Somewhere, someone is taking good care of it.
Absolutely. Well, if you like this tour, this video, give us a thumbs up.
Absolutely. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so you'll be along for all of our adventures. And yeah, definitely put this Georgia Railroad Museum on your list of definite things to do when you're in Savannah.
Yeah, a lot. It's a lot better than was expected, really.
And we expected a lot.
Yeah.
Until next time, y'all, safe travels.
And happy camping.
Bye.
Bye.